So here we have our bow, we have our jacket, and our sword. Nice. Hey there, I'm your host Zoe, and this is part 3 of our inventory series. In today's video, we'll be creating the interaction system for our items. So with that said, let's begin. You might have seen this structure here, s_item slot, in the previous video. Now, apologies for me, I've edited this out by accident. So what you want to do is you want to right click, go to blueprint and select structure. Now, inside of that structure, we then want to add an item ID and an item quantity. For the item ID, we'll select a name, and for the item quantity, we'll select an integer, and then we save. All right, so with that out of the way, let's go into our settings and project settings. And in here, we want to create our own custom trace for our interaction system, which we'll be using to interact with the items. So let's type in trace, and we can add a new trace channel, and let's call it interactive. And by default, we can make it ignore and hit accept. Next, let's go ahead and create a new folder for our interaction system. And we'll be using this to pick up and interact with our items. Interaction system. And let's give it a color, something like this might do, and hit OK. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go inside and let's right click, go to blueprints, and let's create a blueprint interface. We'll call it BPI underscore interaction. Let's open that up. In here then, let's do our first function. We can call interact with, and on the inputs, we want to know the interactor. So interactor and of type actor. Actor object reference. Then our second function, we want to be able to look at the object and get whatever data it has. So for example, its name. So look at, and the output will have as a message, and this will be of type text. Okay, so with that, we can compile and save. Next, let's head back into our contents drawer and open up the inventory system and go into item data. And in here, we want to right click, go to blueprint class and create a actor component. Now this actor component we'll call BPC underscore item data. And this actor component we can add to the parent class. So every single item in our game is going to have the data inside this component. So click plus on the variables tab and we'll do item data. And this item data will be our s_item slot. Or my bad, we'll do row handle is what we want. Data table row handle. Hit another plus and we'll do item quantity like so. And this can be an integer. If we compile, by default, give this a value of 1 because every single item by default, its value is going to be 1. So we can save ourselves some effort by doing this on the parent class. And in the item data, we can select our item data table we made in the previous episode. And for the row name, we can leave it as empty. Let's compile and save that. Let's go ahead and create a new function. So custom event, and let's call it our pick up item custom event. And let's also give it an input, which will be our interactor. Again, this will be of type actor. So let's get actor object reference. Now in here, we want to go to our class settings and add our interface we made. So BPI underscore interaction. And whenever we interact with this, so double click on this interface right there. Whenever we interact with it, we'll call this event. So this event is right there. Pick up item, or simply we can search for it if we want to. And whatever logic is in here will be done there. So for now, we don't have our inventory pickup system just yet. So we can do get owner. So whoever owns this component, which will be our item, and we can destroy it. So if we interact with it just now, the item will get destroyed. Let's compile and save that. Next, let's head over to our items. So inventory system, items, and our item base. So let's open up the full blueprint. Now in the class settings, we want to add in our interface as well, BPI interaction. And we also want to add in our component that we just made. So ppc underscore item data. If we compile then, on the right hand side, we can see item quantity 1. So we don't have to fill this out manually for every single item. Then because this is the base class, this can be the test item. So let's find item 00, compile and save. Next, let's go ahead and create a new function called get item data. Now in here, we'll grab our component item data. We'll get our item data there. We can split this open and do a get row out of the item ID like so. And then for the data table, let's do that. Do a return this, and then put this in. I just do it this way because sometimes this doesn't light up. Some problem in here. And let's call it item data. Okay, and this can be a pure function because we're reading data, not writing anything here. So let's go back. And now let's double click on look at. And inside here, what we can do is let's grab our get item data. We can break this open. And from the message, we'll do a format text. And in here, we can do pick up space, curly brackets, item, close curly brackets. And the item will be this, the name of our item, and we can hide unconnected pins. Now let's compile and save. Next, let's go over to the viewport, and in here we want to add our mesh to our item. So let's do a mesh. If we do a static mesh like so, and let's call it item mesh. So once we have that, let's go back to our event graph. We can compile and we'll create a new function called set item mesh. And we'll be using this function to set the mesh of the item when it's spawned in at the very beginning. So we'll get our item data, break this open, and we're interested in our mesh. So we'll break that as well, hide all the unconnected pins there. And we can get our item mesh and do set static mesh like so. And the new mesh will be our static mesh from here. And do that like this and like so. We can hide everything there, compile and save. We will also create another function to set the material of the item. So set item material. In here, we'll grab our item data once again, break this open, get your mesh, break that, and we can hide then all of this. And in here, we want to grab our materials and do a for each loop. So for every single material in our list, and also hide everything there. We'll grab our item mesh, do set material, and the array index goes in here, and the array element goes in there. Cool. So that's that. Let's compile and save this. And let's go ahead and add these functions to our event or construction script. So inside here, we'll grab our set item mesh like so. So this will update it for us in real time, and then set the item material afterwards. And let's compile and save that. Next, let's head back into our interaction system folder. And in here, we want to create another folder called UI. Let's open this up and let's right click to create a new user widget, widget blueprint. And let's call this our WP underscore interaction UI. And let's open this up. In here, we want to add a border. And let's add a text to it, like so. And for the border, the color I have saved right here, so we can easily copy and paste this in. Brush color, there we are. And for the text, we want to go into font, do size, let's say 14. Let's give the padding 0, and perhaps center it like so. And we'll call it txt underscore message. And let's make it variable because we want this to change depending on what we're looking at. So with that, let's compile and save and go to our event graph. Inside here, we can get rid of the event tick and the event construct. And on pre-construct, what we can do is let's grab our text message. We set text like so, drag this in there. And from in text, we can drag out from it to a variable, call it message. And we can do is empty. So we'll check, is this empty? From here, we'll do a set visibility and we'll do a select from here and the value will go in there. So if it's empty, if it's true, we want it to be collapsed. So it's not hidden, doesn't take up any space in the UI, it's just collapsed. And if it is not empty, so we do see it, we don't want to be able to click on it, so we'll make it not hit testable. And that's that. Now, to set this now, we want to create a custom event, which we can call from our outer blueprints. We'll call it set message. And out here, we'll grab our variable, do a set, plug this pin into here. We'll create it for you and like so. So we'll create the message and then check, should we display it or not? So we'll compile and save that. Back again inside of our interaction system folder. Let's right click, go to blueprint class and create another actor component. Now this will serve as our interaction component. So we can add it to our player. Let's do BPC blueprint component underscore interaction. And let's open it up. In here, let's go ahead and create a new function called get interaction UI. And then we want to right click and do get player controller. And we'll cast to our controller. So mine's called hero controller. And out here, we want to get our player HUD, which we made in episode 1, I believe. And then we want to get our interaction UI. Now we don't have it created in our player HUD. So we need to go back and find where it is. So player UI, player HUD. In here then, we want to add this to the player HUD. So if we can search for interaction UI, we can then drag this onto our screen and place where we want it to be, size to content. Should we size to content? We'll size it to content for now. Or never mind, we'll do 400 and let's do 70 there. That's better. And anchor it at the bottom. So to anchor it at the bottom, hold Control and Shift and left mouse. And then we'll pick it up a little bit from the very bottom. So position Y minus 30 should be good. And that's where our interaction message will appear. That's all we got to do, compile and save it. Back in our interaction system, we can now compile and our player HUD should have our WB underscore interaction UI reference. Let's get it. And we'll do a return node and we want to return that UI. And we're good to go. So let's compile and save that. Back inside of our event graph, we'll go ahead and create another function for the interaction trace. So let's call it interaction trace. And we'll start by getting our owner, so get owner. So whoever owns this component, and we'll do get actor location. And we want to add to this the disposition, which will be, we'll do get actor forward vector. And we'll add to this, well, let's multiply it. We'll multiply this by, so you want to right click and do convert to float, double or single, doesn't matter. And we'll multiply it by, let's say, 100 or 80, whatever you want. That's the distance from the original location. And we want to add two of these together. So this goes there. And this is our starting location. Or sorry, this is our starting location and this is our end location. So we want to do a sphere trace by channel or a line trace, up to you, sphere trace by channel. And plug this in there. So our start is our actor's location plus the offset just there. So the radius for the sphere, I'll set to 70. That's my preference. Trace channel visibility, we have interactive that we made at the start. Now, if you don't see this, simply recompile your blueprint and then you should see it there. Draw type, let's test it. So we'll do for one frame right there. And that's good. So let's hit B left mouse to get a branch. Out hit. So let's break this. And we're interested in the hit actor. Let's grab this quickly and promote to a variable. And let's call it our target actor for the moment. We can close that. And we're only promoting it to a variable once it meets our conditions. So this will be drag out and do does implement interface. And we're checking, does it implement our blueprint interface? So it's important we go check that it does implement it. So once again, we'll go to our inventory system, items, base, and class settings. Yes, we do, because we've added it and we have those options here as well. So we know that we do implement it and this will work. So we'll grab a branch, plug this in there. This can go on true in here. If it's false, we can drag this, or grab it rather, and set it to false because it's nothing. We haven't hit anything. And if this passes, we then set this to true. We can promote it to a variable. Let's do something like that. Make it readable. And out here then, let's go ahead and drag, or grab rather, our interaction UI. Now this we can make pure. And out here we'll do set message. So that's that red event we made inside of our UI. And if it's empty, we'll leave it empty, like so. But if it's not, we can copy that. And out here, we'll do lookat, which is that function inside of our blueprint interface, which will grab the name of that object, and then we can add it to our screen, set message. And on false, we're doing exactly the same, but this is getting set to nothing. And we want to look at nothing. So that's that. And I believe that's okay for now. So compile and save it. Inside of our event graph then, let's go ahead and create a custom event. We'll call it begin interaction. And we'll do a set timer by event. Now this event runs up to you, how quickly you want it to run. I find it best at 0.1, 0.2. So play around with this. And we'll do looping. We can even do 0.1. And from this event, we will do another custom event called update interaction. And we'll connect it using this red event here. So it goes in, does this every 0.1 seconds, carries out this event. And this then will be our interaction trace done here. And we can get rid of event tick, and on event begin play, we'll start this whole cycle. So let's grab our begin interaction event just right there. And then all of this logic will be executed. Let's compile and save. Next, we will need a way to actually interact with our items. So for that, we'll go to our content drawer, and inside of our player, we'll go to our third person, our inputs, and in input actions, we'll create a new input action for the interaction. Let's call it IA_interact. Let's save that, go back a folder, go to our IMC_default, click a new mapping, select our interact, and the key, again, up to you, I'll have it on the E key. Save that. And back inside of our interaction component on the event graph, we can then grab our IA_interact. And once we've interacted, so on started, we want to grab this target actor, get it, just to confirm it's valid. So do a validated get, because it could be empty. So from here then, we'll do a get component by class. And for the class, we'll do BPC_item data, and we'll do is valid, just to check. And if this goes true, then we'll be able to interact with interact with first one, like so. And the interactor is ourselves. So we can do get owner and plug this in there. Okay, and let's compile and save this. And we need to add this then component to our player character. So content drawer we go, third person, blueprints, third person character, left hand side, add BPC_interaction, compile, save. Let's go ahead now and test this. So if we hit play, we can walk around and we see our interaction trace working. So let's add a few items to our game. So let's go to our content, inventory system items. Now we need to fill these out, what they actually are. So each of them have a component, but this component still doesn't say what the item is. So click on the component, click on the dropdown. This item is an bow. So we selected there. Now this item knows what to spawn in. So if we go out and drag this item in here, boom, we get our an bow. So we can do this for every single item. So blue jacket, let's open it up, go in here and do the same thing. Blue jacket, compile and save. And we can go out and do this. And now we see what we're dealing with. Might have not added any static meshes to the blue jacket. This could be it. So we'll go to our inventory system, item data here, blue jacket, and yeah, I have not added anything in here. So blue, what, maybe not blue, maybe just jacket. And there we are. Okay, so that's my bad. Compile that. And if we go and drag this up, there we are. We have our jacket. And do we see the message? Not yet. Just do this for every single item, and then we'll deal with why the message is not displaying. Okay, so once you have all the items sorted out, let's go and see why this is not displaying on our screens. So I found the issue why our UI is not displaying on the screen. So select any item and do Control E to open it up. And if we click on the pen on the right-hand side, this will take us to the item base, so the parent class. And if we select the item mesh and type collision, we are doing block all dynamic on the collision presets. We want to do custom. In here then, we want to block our interactive channel. So do that. And now if we go and play, our items will block our channel and respond. So a little bit low to the floor. So let's go ahead and fix that. Now to fix it, you could also, if you want, click on your base, and on the item mesh, we can attach a sphere to it to also act as a little collision. So sphere collision. Let's just see how that looks. Let's make it a little bit bigger, maybe something like 50. And if we look at it, it should also block the interactive channel. So custom and block. Compile and save. And because it's attached, it's always going to move with our item mesh. So hit play. We see our bow, our blue jacket, and our sword. Cool. Next, we could also do something with our UI itself. It looks a little bit bland right now. So we'll go to our interaction system UI, and in here create a new folder called MUI for materials user interface. Inside here, we'll do a new material. Let's call it m_interaction UI and open it up. And for the actual material, we'll change it to user interface and blend mode to translucent. Next, let's right click and do a linear gradient. And out the U gradient, we'll do 1-. We want to grab two materials or multiplies. So M left mouse, plug this into B, this into A. We can see what's happening there. Open this up as well into A. Now to get the full strength in the middle, we'll set this value to be 4. And we'll get it very strong in the center and kind of fall off at the very edges. And we'll plug this into final and into opacity. Apply, save it. And let's head back to our UI then. And we don't see our border, but if we click on it, we can select the brush and give it our m_interaction UI material and compile and save it. And due to the color nature of our text message, so let's just disable this quickly. And now we should see it. And there we are. This is what happens. So we'll plug this back in. Compile, save. And if we go to play, we now have a nice message system working for us. Very nice. And we can hide our collision so we don't have to see it on the screen the whole time. So none. So this is it for today's video, and in the next episode, we will be working on the pickup function for our inventory. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like. And as always, happy developing!